This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trends in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini Today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
Judith Mancini Today is sponsored by Basic Brands, Inc., providing the highest quality specialty products in the natural food industry. Visit basicbrandsinc.com and enter JMT15 for your 15% discount on your first order, including their best-selling vitamin E ointment, which helps restore moisture and elasticity to your skin. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me on Judith Mancini Today. You know why I call it Judith Mancini Today, because I'm an evolving person. Yes, I try to learn new things all the time. I keep up with the news. I want you to keep up with the news. I keep up with health, and I want you to live healthy, wealthy, and wise. So thank you again for joining me today. The first thing I want to do is do my news. But remember, my news may be national news and international news, but it's one woman's opinion. So I want you to tune into your favorite news stations and then get the opposite view on another news station so that you can make up your mind on what the heck is happening to our world. It's not just our country anymore. It's the whole world seems to be literally on fire. And I don't mean like this lady's on fire. I mean, this is not a good fire. This is like a wildfire. It's craziness. Okay, so the first thing I want to tell you, and I want you to call your state legislation people, not just in your state, not the California state legislation. I want you to call your U.S. representatives, your House of Representatives, and your senators. What is happening is that this administration that's in is going hog wild crazy with spending money. And you know yourself, if you spend too much money, your checking account ends up with nothing in it, or your savings account ends up with nothing in it. You know, just because you have checks doesn't mean you have money in the checking account. So I want you to call them, because after this spending bill that was passed, which nobody even knew what was in it until they passed it, because they come on pieces of paper that are like 3 feet high with everything in it. And there's a lot of pork in it that has nothing to do with the spending bill, but other things. So you've got to go through these things very, very carefully. Now, in order to pay for these things, in order to boost the aid to Ukraine, which I do want to support the Ukrainians, but I don't want to be in a war. All right, we're sending them lots of money and it's unaccounted for. But what I want to talk about today is where they want to find money. It's from you who have paid your taxes. But more than that, you have paid money into Social Security and all that comes with it, Medicare, Medicaid, and everything else. And that's what they want to cut. In 10 years, they want to cut it by 30%. Well, the Democrats are trying to blame this on the Republicans, and the Republicans are trying to blame it on the Democrats. And the independents go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So this is the two-party country that we have. And unfortunately, I think most of them are more involved in the politics of it then the common sense of it and how they are going to have enough money to pay for anything and everything. So if you are one of my women of a certain age listening, or a man of a certain age listening, and your pension is there and the pension is losing money, or all the money you've put in your 401k, or all the money you've put in the stock market, and everything is just going down the tubes, lower and lower and lower, I want you to call these representatives and senators and tell them your opinion, and tell them, look, I voted for you in the past. Uh-oh. For some reason, I have gardeners outside my studio right now. I'm sorry about the noise, so I'll speak up a little more. They never do this. I can't understand why they're doing it. Maybe because of all the rains we've had out here and they're all mixed up. So I'm sorry about the noise. I can't block it off. So call your representatives and take care of that. One reason I'm concerned about this is that the national debt was broken down per person and per taxpayer today. The total debt that they talked about today, and I'm going to break this down so that you will understand it. I'm not going to just put up the numbers because some of you won't understand what it's saying. This is incredible to me. The total national debt is $31,375,549,251. What? What comes after trillion? I think it's a zillion. That's ridiculous. That's what this new bill that was passed. And that comes out, grasp this, to $92,780. $92,780 per person. My God, if you turn that into your accountant and I can't pay it, why would anybody want to run themselves into debt? Now, this is not your portion that you have to pay at the tax guy comes knocking on your door. This is just what they think you should pay. This is what they think you should contribute. This is what, if they did knock on your door, they would ask for. That has nothing to do with your income tax. Get that? I also want all of you to know those stimulus checks that you got, or the gasoline checks that you got from the state of California or whatever your state was reimbursing you for. Look what happened to California. California had a huge surplus of money when Newsom came in. He just stockpiled it, cut things, and built it up. And you know what he's done now? We have billions of dollars in deficit. You're not going to be getting tax refunds from the state of California, I'll tell you that. They're going to cut them way down and they're going to scrutinize your tax returns. So you better get with your accountant. You better start gathering those papers and you better figure it out. Now, some of you don't need to worry about that because you have large estates, and that's fine. But I bet you anything they're going down too. We don't want our children and grandchildren to be responsible for this horrible debt. That's why you need to become proactive. Proactive, as I always say, listen to the news. Talk with your girlfriends when you go out for coffee. Talk to the gentlemen in your life. When you're going to a cocktail party or you're going out to dinner with your besties. Everybody has an opinion. What's yours? All right, so that's my opinion on that. Now, I want to also talk to you about the Alex Murdaugh case that is on every big channel now. It's live, the trial for him. He was now the head of this legal dynasty in South Carolina. His father, his grandfather, great-grandfather founded this legal dynasty many years ago, and I guess I don't know. They haven't come out and said he was a philanderer, but they did say he embezzled some money that was awarded to the daughter of one of the housekeepers who was hurt in a boating accident by his son. And it was millions of dollars. And I guess he embezzled the money from that award instead of giving it to the mother. The housekeeper, the woman who was run over by the boat, later died. So the mother was still the housekeeper, but she mysteriously fell down the steps and died. And this money was apparently used to take care of Alex Murdaugh's debt. That's not why I'm telling you this. This trial is going to end up having a lot of digital information in it. And I find that fascinating. There's cell phones, there's things from Snapchat, TikTok, all sorts of things from the other son. It's fascinating to me. The photos on the phone, when he made the last phone call to his wife, he's accused of murdering his wife and his son. So it's on every station. You may as well watch a little of it because it is fascinating how they are getting the digital world into this trial. At least it is to me. We have a lot of people who like true crime, and we have had guests on this show that are investigating and trying to make sure that the cold case on our dear friend Marie, that happened many, many years ago, that it's always in front of the cold case people in Orange County, California. So we do have a lot of listeners that are interested in that. And you can tell by the shows on television that people are interested in true crime. And some of the things are solved and some of them aren't solved. What I want to tell you about is the uprise in crime. And in the last few days, we have had terrible shootings here, mass shootings. We had one, a lot of Asians were celebrating the Lunar New Year in a dance hall where they all go and dance all the time, and they were having a big party. And somebody came in and shot so many of them. I think it was 11 that were shot, wounded, and more wounded and injured. But I think it was 11 people that were actually killed. And then a few days later in Half Moon Bay, California, that's just south and east of San Francisco, another terrible shooting of Asians occurred in a mushroom farm, which was actually, I guess from reports, an illegal marijuana growing farm, which may or may not have anything to do with the shooting. I don't know. But when I was flipping through the stations, I'm wondering, why are these people being shot? Why are they being killed? What is wrong with our country? Well, first of all, flipping through on a local news station here in Southern California, I got a live report on scene of the mushroom / marijuana farm. And this reporter was saying, people are saying these are white supremacist shootings. Well, excuse me, let's get some real facts in reporting and check out the facts before you go spouting these lies. Both of these shootings involved Asian people. They killed them in the Asian dance hall. It was an Asian man who later shot himself. And they weren't young. He was in his 60s or 70s. I don't remember which. And the mushroom farm, that was also done by an elderly Asian man. Why they did this, nobody knows. It's so sad and so unnecessary, so horrible. What got into these people that they would go kill these people? For what reason? Nobody knows. Then there was in Central California the needless killing of 5 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in a home in the Central Valley of California. For those of you who live out of state, that used to be called the breadbasket of the United States, lots of farming and all. Somebody went in to this home and killed 5 people. A grandma, a great grandma, a mother, and a 10-month-old baby that they shot in the face, and 2 other people, men, I believe they were. Well, it is suspected that this was gang related because this house had something to do with drugs in the past. And there is also speculation that the cartels that have moved into California are now paying gang members to commit these murders. You know, we had a terrible problem years and years ago with the mafia coming over here and organized crime and Al Capone and all that. You can see all the movies about it and they'll tell you about it. And some of it was very true. They were shooting people on the streets, but it were people who were in crime and they were shooting the men at that time who were running these different criminal groups. Even the mafia had some rules. You don't go after a family, and you sure as heck don't go after a 10-month-old baby and shoot him in the face. There is no honor among these thieves. These cartels are vicious. They catch people down in Mexico that aren't associating with the cartels. They shoot them, they burn them alive. This is a real problem. And even the government of Mexico is admitting this and having a terrible time. Now, what I don't want you to do is start thinking that Mexico is unsafe. It's not unsafe. We vacation in Mexico all the time. You just have to be aware of what's going on. And I wouldn't advise you to go to Sinaloa and some of the cities where you know this is going on. Just, you know, you don't need to go see where El Chapo's son was captured and war broke out. All right? Stay away from there. It's wrong. Go to a nice resort town. Stay in a dependable, well-known hotel. Do not take Ubers and taxi cabs unless you are absolutely positive where they're coming from. Mexico is our neighbor. Mexico needs to work with us on the border. Yes, because so many of the people coming across the border are not Mexicans. They're coming from Venezuela, Cuba, all sorts of places. Some of them are coming from the Middle East. Now, we have a problem. We need a border and we need security. It doesn't help to have all of these people coming at once because there are the gotaways and there are people that are sneaking in. And undoubtedly, when you see the lines of the males with no women and no children, there's probably some terrorist in there. The cartels are charging these people. It used to be a couple $1,000s. It's between $5,000, $10,000, and $30,000 per person now. The cartels are getting rich off of this. And it's not just California, it's Texas, it's Arizona, it's anywhere Mexico hits a border. That's what's happening. Now, I think we have a better border situation in Tijuana that is just south of San Diego because the border is always busy there. And that's where we go if we want to be driving in Mexico. We cross over there. The border that's just next to Tijuana is not as safe as the Tijuana border. There's a lot of smuggling going on. We all know that. Fentanyl is a huge problem. And I want to tell you how it has trickled down to not only adults and teenagers, young adults, but it has trickled down to 3 to 9-year-olds. It has grown by 4 times what was happening over a year ago, just over a year ago. Infants and children 5 to 14, that's how much that has happened with these kids getting something wrong. The things that are disguised as candy and all. And with the gang-related killings, the age of the people getting the children to join gangs, the cartels are working on this, and you can go prove yourself to become a member of the gang and be paid, and the gang will pay you, and the cartels will pay the jefe of the gang. Jefe is chief. They're 14 and 15-year-olds. That's what they used to be a year ago. Do you know that they are recruiting kids 3 to 9 years old? They're taking these little children that may come across the border, or they may kidnap the kids, 3 to 9, and they raise them to love these gangs and make a better life because we'll put food on your table and all. This is so, so wrong. If we don't have a strong border, it's not going to stop. And all these people that are having to pay now $5,000 to $30,000 to come over, the cartels don't want their money. What they want to do is traffic them to work in their fields that they're growing, whatever they're growing, any kind of thing that will help them with the drug markets, or they're tracking them for sex. Little children. Do you remember when that one person on the Mexico side of the wall, where they're trying to get to the Colorado River to cross, he threw 2 little girls over the wall because he didn't want them. They'd been used already. I can't even fathom this. This is so horrible. So President Biden, I'll show some respect for him. President Biden and Vice President Harris, please get your act together and stop this. It's not helping our country, but it is destroying human beings. It's disgraceful. So that's my news today and my opinion. So what we want to do today is, the question of the day was gray hair. Gray hair, it sounds kind of stupid, doesn't it? I mean, stupid that you would do a show on gray hair, but here it is, because I have had so many women ask me, well, how do we maintain our youthful looks? How do we maintain our dignity? Well, to gray or not has to be up to you, but I'm going to give you some reasons. If you are still in the C-suite, CEO, Chief Intelligence Tech Officer, Technology Officer, Chief Financial Officer, that's the C-suite, okay? That's what we refer to as the C-suite. Or if you're an attorney in a big firm, something like that. Often women have to keep up their looks of growing old without looking like you're growing old. And quite frankly, if your gray hair isn't coming in pretty, like all over Salt and Pepper, like Andie MacDowell, who we all remember from movies and television, she's got a full head of salt and pepper hair. It's beautiful. And in her everyday life, that's how she looks. But if you're still working in the corporate world, you might want to color your hair. Now, if it's coming in pretty with several strands together, it's more like highlights. It's not just temples. I get my gray hairs right here in the very beginning. And let me tell you, getting gray hair is from stress. When I lost my son, my entire head is now coming in gray. I color my hair, okay? We live in California. We live in Beverly Hills. Well, we don't live there now, but You do. And most people don't let their hair go gray unless it comes in, like I said, Andy McDowell, or somebody like Elon Musk's mother, whose name is Mae Musk. And she has for over 50 years been an international supermodel. And she has a head that is strikingly beautiful, gray, silvery hair. And she's just gorgeous. So there are reasons to do that now. Sarah Jessica Parker, if you can believe it, the star of Sex and the City, is letting her hair go gray, except for movie parts, of course, because she plays younger women. She's now 57, soon to be 58, I think. So even she is doing it now. Of course, that leads to your face. If you're terribly, terribly wrinkled, maybe you don't want to color your hair. Maybe you want to stay looking natural, and that's okay too. There's many, many women who do. But if you're in a job that requires that, it's a sad, sad case that says that you need to keep your hair colored. So that's my opinion, but it's also the C-suite's opinion. So that's what I tell my friends. But how do you decide? Well, what's your lifestyle? What are you doing? Are you playing more now that you've reached a certain age than working hard? Maybe you want to color your hair a little bit. Maybe you want to try different colors. I personally would avoid the greens, the blues, the pinks, but that might be you. You might want to get your hippie part of your brain going again. I mean, we did crazy things in the 60s. We threw away our bras. We grew our hair down to our butts. You never know what people are going to do in their golden years, and maybe that's where you want to go. So if you do, go ahead and dye your hair pink. Put that blue polish on your fingernails. Nothing wrong with it. It's a lot of criticism out there for people getting tattoos, but tattooing is a form of art. And I will tell you, my son and my daughter has a tattoo. My son had tattoos, nothing objectionable. And I know many, many people that have tattoos. If you look on Fox News, a lot of those people have tattoos. So guess what? Conservatives get tattoos too. Many cultures have tattoos. It's not the same thing as back during the war days when they had lewd things tattooed on them. It's different. A lot of people put very Zen things on their bodies. Now, I wasn't even going to talk about this today, but it kind of goes with your hair. And I think when you reach a certain age, I think you should be able to do what you darn well please, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else and doesn't hurt yourself. So I want to tell you some things that I have found men age better than women. Now, how could that be? Because a lot of men have a lot of stress in their positions. First responders, people that are CEOs, attorneys, all sorts of things. You could be an electrical engineer and have a lot of stress. Stress does change the color of your hair. And as you age, you start having your hormones change. And yes, men's hormones change also. So they kind of go through a little menopause also. So women, be kind to your husbands when they're doing this. Now, my husband happens to be a phenomenal man, but he's an interesting man with his aging. He has been bald on the top since he was in his 20s, but he has not the comb over thing or anything, but he has hair from about here down, kind of like a fringe, but not, and it grows all the way down to his neck in the back. So of course he has to go to the barber and be trimmed up. He doesn't have any hair on the top of his head. It's just like a billiard ball. Okay, I happen to like bald men, so I guess that's maybe one reason I fell in love with him. I don't know. But here's the thing. When I met him, and up until actually, I would say kind of when COVID started, it's very odd. He had a few streaks, not even a whole streak, but a few strands of gray hair. And all the way from the front to the back. And one day I'm looking at him and he said, "What are you staring at me for?" And I said, "It's your hair." "Well, I guess I better go to the barber." But no, I said, "Your hair doesn't have one piece of gray in it." Now, me, I'm stressed out. I'm getting, gray everywhere. Well, not everywhere. But he has gone all the way back to his color that he was when he was in his 20s, 30s, and younger. It's dark. It's dark like this. And there's not one piece of gray in it. So I looked that up on the internet today because I thought I'd share it with you. There is a phenomenon that such a small percentage, they wouldn't even give the percent, of people whose hair will go back from gray to their natural color. And he's living proof. Then there are the people who get the streak of gray here or the streak of gray here. Sometimes it's from an injury where you lose the melanin in your system in that particular spot. But oftentimes it's hereditary in your genes, and you'll see that your mother or your father or somebody else had the same gray streak. And Tulsi Gabbard's one. She's had that gray streak forever. I think sometimes she colors it a different color to have fun, but that is a natural gray streak for her. She's not doing it to garner comments, actually. So that's about gray hair. Now, when I see somebody who has let their hair go all the way gray, or they have beautiful silver streaks in it, I wrote down some thoughts of mine. I call them wisdom highlights, because when you become a certain age, you have a lot of wisdom, and showing off those strands of gray shows people you're of a certain age and you're smart. You've got all this wisdom in you from writing and reading and studying and going to lectures and art galleries and watching fascinating things on televisions from National Geographic about all the different animals and the Mayans and what have you, all those wonderful things. You've got that wisdom stored in your head that you can share with your little kids that are going, Grandma, Mama, tell me about the koala bears. They look at your gray hair and they actually think it's coming from your gray hair, that you're the grandma mama, and that's why you're so smart. Gray hair seems to also be hereditary. So I didn't know my father in an older age, but he was bald, a little bald, before I stopped seeing him. And I don't remember him having gray hair. I've seen pictures of my brother and he has the beautiful silver hair. And me, no, I've got the ugly gray hair coming in. So that's why I colored my hair. And I think also that these little strands of glitter in your hair are giving you confidence. And as I said, you show your wisdom. And I also think every strand tells a story. My gray hair tells the story of my son. So be emboldened by your gray hair and keep it going if you want, and be proud of it. Now, there are those of you who are so gray that you want to touch up your hair all the time. It's not the greatest thing as you're growing older and you're a woman and your hair starts to thin, but that's our hormones too. But there are some things today that you can do. You can take some supplements, and that will help you grow your hair out. The little follicles will start working again. I can't recommend any because I'm not taking any, and I don't want to do that. I think you should talk to your nutritionist or your doctor and ask them about that. Don't do what a lot of people do and see these supplements and things on television. Yes, they're good. A lot of them are very good and reputable, but I want you to explore those too. I'm one who thinks that they put far too many things on television to put in your body. I'm totally against these prescription drugs that you might be sitting there thinking, well, I might have that symptom. Maybe I should take that. I'm going to ask my doctor. If my doctor won't give it to me, I'm going to find another doctor. A lot of this goes back to the pills for depression and autism and things like that. Some things do need medication, but beware what you're putting in your body and the side effects that you will get from it. So get some expert help on that. You can color your hair at home now. Kind of messy, but you can slather it on and keep it on and then get in the shower and rinse it out and style your own hair. I think there are even streaking kits you can get. So if you want to do it yourself, you could be a DIY. I always get these things mixed up. Or go find yourself a good hairdresser that will give you a new look, because I honestly think if you're still wearing your hair like you did in the 60s in high school, it might not work so much for you now. And I think even if you're wearing your hair like you did in the 80s and 90s, it probably isn't that great on you either. You know, the shape of your face changes, your height changes because you shrink a little bit, your coloring changes, the pigment in your skin changes. There's a lot of reasons to keep your hair looking good. Now, mine never looks good, so I just live with it the way it is. But get yourself somebody who is a good cut expert, a good colorist, and a good styling, so that they can look at the shape of your face and they can look at your coloring and see if you're going too dark, too light, what they think. Get some expert advice. And you know, there's all of these. If you can't afford a good hairdresser, and they're getting to be really, really expensive, so if you can't afford those high prices, there's lots of beauty schools around and smaller salons that don't charge $400, $200, $700, whatever. You can find these, and students will cut your hair. Now, go to one of the students that's about ready to graduate, so they've already learned how to cut. And I think you'll be very pleased. The other thing about your skin, I'm going to get out there now. I think if you are in the public eye and you're not terribly wrinkled, like Judi Dench is not terribly wrinkled, and she has decided not to do any plastic. I lost you. What happened? Woo! Sorry. You dropped off here. Judi Dench, you know, the great actress, Dame Judi Dench from England, from the UK, has not done any plastic surgery, and she doesn't want to do any plastic surgery. She doesn't even do fillers or anything like that. This is how she has chosen to age, and she has very good genes because she is not all wrinkled everywhere, probably because there's not a lot of sunshine every single day in the UK. So I think that also helps your complexion by staying out of the sun and not smoking. Besides your lungs, it's not good for your skin. And if you use straws continuously in your mouth, You'll see a lot of celebrities on these different shows where the Kardashians or somebody's being interviewed and they take a break and they're sipping their water through a straw. That's not good. It makes you have little lines. I never smoked, but I have little lines because I like to sip out of a straw, except if I'm having champagne or a martini. But I do believe in keeping yourself up, and I think you probably could have seen over here my little bruises and my little red dots in certain places because I'm very fortunate. I have not become very wrinkled. And so I am trying microneedling and it's working wonderful. It stimulates the collagen in your face and it comes up, tightens. It doesn't lift your face like a facelift. So it's more natural. And I do use fillers once in a while. I have a droopy eye. This eye, you notice it's a little shut than the other one. I don't really care how it looks so much because it is what it is, but I am not being able to see out of it. So I'm going to have it operated on or try these new drops that the doctor gave me and see if I can't lift it up. Because what you don't want is not being able to see when you're reading or see when you're driving, for instance. So you want to take care of your eyes. And too much of a dry eye from looking at the screen, remember our basic organics will show you, basic brands will show you some things for dry eye and macular degeneration. So that's me, that's my beauty routine. I'm blessed with good genes to have good skin and not too many blemishes. But if I did, I would take care of them because I believe the better you feel about yourself and the better you look to yourself and how you please yourself is what you should be concentrating on. That's what I said at the beginning. We did live in Beverly Hills. There's a lot of people who wear their hair platinum blonde or brassy blonde, and they think that blondes have more fun. But I'm here to tell you, brunettes have more fun. Do what you want to do. Make yourself happy. How you look and how you feel gives you confidence. It makes you feel like you can create and do anything, and it helps you, encourage you to feel like you want to help other people. And there's a saying that our gray hair comes from our children, and mine did. So that is what I want to leave you with today. And I want you to know that next week we'll be discussing some other things. I'm going to go deeper into macular degeneration for your health. It's something that is coming about with the aging population much more. And I think you need to understand it. So if you think you're getting symptoms of it, you'll get yourself to an eye doctor, an ophthalmologist, optometrist for your glasses, what have you. So I want to go into that next week. And I want to also address 3 things that women in particular worry about as they're aging, and that's loneliness, purpose, and rejection. So that's what we will be discussing next week. In the meantime, I suppose I will be giving you updates of what's going on in the news, in my opinion of it. And what I want you to remember, speak out, speak up, and speak to your representatives and your senators from your states to protect your Social Security, Medicare, etc., as you enter your golden years. In 10 years, they want to cut this. And if they cut this, for many people, it's all they're living on. And if you happen to have neighbors or friends that are in that position, you should let them know too. Because This is a crime when you have contributed so much. And I don't know how they would do this, because these younger people, like our children, my kids are now in their 40s. My kid, Megan, 48. She tells everybody she's 48. Nobody wants to hide their age these days. I'm proud to say I'm 77 and I'm still going strong. So all of my friends are too. Unfortunately, as they get up into their 80s and 90s, some of them are starting to pass away, and I've lost now 3 friends in the last 2 weeks. Pretty hard, because we miss them. We miss them terribly, but we try to think of the good times we had together. But don't be upset if the person you're talking to has lost their loved one and you're trying to comfort them, because I don't believe there is any comfort. You have to go through your grief yourself and your family. So on a happy note, I posted something from my son. He should have turned 50 yesterday, and I posted something that he had put on his Facebook page in 2017. I'm not going to read it to you. I'm just going to tell you that I had so many wonderful comments. One in particular that was so beautiful, and so many people commented on it, was my friend Nancy Grando, and she just wrote something beautiful on it. So if you want to go to my personal page, it's Judith Woods McGuire Mancini. You can see what was posted. I don't put a lot of personal stuff on there, and I have so many names on there because my maiden name was Woods, my married name with my children was McGuire, and now I'm married to Mancini. And I always get the question, no, we're not related to Henry. So that's it for today. Some people say it's terrible to put your own personal information on the show, but I don't write anything personal on there. And I've already been hacked, so I have everything secured. Don't even try it if you go on that page, because I'll get you. So, but if you'd like to read that, it's beautiful. What Nancy wrote is particularly beautiful. And also Steve, thank you very much. And a lot of you wrote very beautiful things, and I so appreciate it. It helped my heart. Thank you so much. And I'm going to leave you with these words today, because this is what I try to do. Cherish yesterday, dream tomorrow, and live today. That's what Jonathan Siegel said. Bye-bye.